First of all, I got to give it to Grady Hendrix. This book, Horrorstor, is pretty unique. Something strange is happening at the Orsk Furniture Superstore in Cleveland, Ohio. Every morning, employees arrive to find broken bookshelves, shattered water goblets, and smashed wardrobes. Sales are down, security cameras revealing nothing, and store managers are panicking. To unravel the mystery, three employees volunteer to work a 9-hour dusk till dawn shift. In the dead of the night, they'll patrol the empty showroom floor, investigate strange sightings and sounds, and encounter horrors that defy the imagination. What's up, y'all? Back again. So I got another book to talk about, and this book it's supposed to be a horror book, but to me, it's not that scary. I think it's just a good paranormal book. So the book starts out with the main character, Amy. She works at this store called Orsk, and it's basically IKEA, but it's called Orsk. And this book takes place in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and the main character's name is Amy. She's sort of, I wouldn't say troubled young girl, but she does not apply herself. She just works at the store. She took a test to be a supervisor, and evidently she failed. She's not getting along with her boss, Basil, which is the book describes him as a tall Steve Urkel looking like guy. I don't know if you guys ever seen Family Matters, but Steve Urkel was one of the main characters on there. So that's who her boss looks like, but a taller version. But anyway, so the book starts out that the store is noticing some vandalism going on. It looks like somebody pooped on one of the couches, and so I think one of the head managers, the guy that's over Basil, they want to kind of investigate overnight to see what's going on. Is somebody sneaking in there and doing that? What's going on? Just a lot of things are going crazy with that store. The escalator is acting crazy. They're finding graffiti, stuff like that. So Basil, Amy, and another employee, I think her name is Ruth Ann, they were chosen to work this overnight shift to see what's going on in the store. And I think the reason why they chose them because they knew that Ruth Ann, she wasn't gonna say no. She's like a career worker. She doesn't want to take any promotion. She just wants to work, and she'll do anything. And Amy, she wants to transfer, so they kind of said, if you do this for us, we'll give you this transfer to work at the Youngstown, Ohio store. So they do that. And so when they go into the store overnight to find what's going on, there's two other employees, which is Trinity and Matt. And these employees of Orsk, they are ghost hunters. So they heard about what's going on, so they think it's paranormal. And they bring their equipment in the store. Like they got EMP devices, I don't know what you call it, but it's like Ghostbuster devices and flashlights and candles, all this stuff like this. So their intention is to try to profit off this in the future, get some footage and be a ghost hunter. They call themselves the Ghost Bomb or something like that. Yeah. But anyway, Basil doesn't know that these two are here, so they kind of snuck in, in the store. And let's see. They do find, when they do their patrols, they do find another character. His name is Carl. Carl is a homeless man who's just trying to seek some shelter. And Amy calls police on Carl. But Basil, the one that's leading this trio of and not investigators, but these store employees to figure out what's going on overnight. He didn't want them to call the police because they're not supposed to be there overnight. Everything's closed. They're past. When the cleaners leave, the store is supposed to be empty. So they don't want corporate knowing about them being in this store overnight to try to find what's going on. So he didn't want the police getting called. So Amy calls police, but Basil decides he's going to take care of this. He's going to go outside and wait for the police. So he doesn't know that Trinity and Matt are there. So they sneak in the store. They plan to do this ghost hunt, and they find Carl. They somehow talk Carl, this homeless man. They find out that Carl he's just trying to live in the store. He's not really causing any trouble. So they see all this graffiti and stuff going on. There's people defecating. They don't know what's going on. They have smells. So obviously something's going on. So they decide to do a seance because they think this is paranormal. So once they do the seance, Carl, Trinity, Matt, Ruthann, and Amy, these 5 people do this seance. And this is when all hell breaks loose. So there's a lot that goes on. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but yeah, so if you guys are familiar with books like haunted house books, stuff like that, where seances happen, people get possessed. So there's a possession. There's a lot of things that happen after hours at this store from, I would say, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And what else? Some things that I like about the book is there's a lot of campiness. I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of horror movies. 80s horror movies has a lot of camps, kind of silly. There's a lot of back and forth that might be considered cringy, but it's kind of funny. And there's some torture devices in there. What else can I say without spoiling it? Of course, there's ghosts, and I would say the building, or the site that it's built on. I don't know if you ever read or saw the movie Poltergeist. Poltergeist had the same concept where the house was built on an Indian burial ground, but this building is built on an old prison that was in the 1800s, and a lot of things that went on in this prison, were bad things, people getting tortured. So that kind of starts, shit hitting the fan after that seance. Some of the dislikes about this book, I didn't really like the epilogue. The epilogue kind of didn't make sense because a lot of things happened within a year and a half that logistically didn't make sense. Also, the 2 main characters, they do something that it just doesn't make sense. I wish I could elaborate more, but you have to have read the book. I don't want to spoil it because it happens at the end of the book, but some of the 2 characters, they come back and it just doesn't make sense at all. But overall, I do recommend this book by Grady Hendrix because the book itself, hell, this book could be like I heard somebody say a coffee table book, because it's like it pretty much looks like a catalog. It's just alone, if you get the physical copy, it's a lot better, I think, versus reading it on Kindle or what's the other thing by Amazon? I forgot. Audiobook. Yeah, audiobook. So I would recommend you guys get this book. It is a good conversation starter. If they see this, you know, somebody would think, hey, is this a catalog? But no. Another thing about the book, it has a lot of furniture and tables and dressers that kind of are added to the story. It plays a part. It plays a role in the story too. As you look through every chapter, it has a picture that correlates with what's going on in that chapter. And if you get the book, you know what I'm talking about. I could just show you an example right here. So you see this right here. This kind of correlates to the chapter. You know, something occurs, you know, that happens to said picture. But anywho, I'm done rambling on. I do recommend this book. I give this book a 3.5. So what you guys think about Horrorstor? Would you guys check this out? Would you guys pass on it? Let me know in the comments. Peace.